Hello everyone, welcome back to Glitz and Glitter. I'm going to play with my new mold again today, and this time instead of the failed geode that I did the other day, you can get that in my videos. I'm going to do a bloom in it and see how it comes out. I'm sure it'll be fine. I just like the crystal edge around it. And today I am using the only resin that works for me. You guys use whatever works for you, but this one works for me, the Fast Cure by Let's Resin. And I heat it up. I'm waiting for this to heat up to 33, 34 degrees Celsius, which is around 95. So I have a little bit of time. I just finished mixing it. I'm using the Ocean White pigment paste for my white. Now, there is a video, again, a few days back that I did a comparison of 4 whites that I do have. And they were all so similar. So since Ocean White was always my favorite, I'm gonna stick with that one. I'm gonna do a couple different colors than I have done before. So I'm gonna put some brown alcohol ink in the center, I think, followed by some yellow and some Sugilite. So these are all by Let's Resin. Everything I use, it's always in the description box. You can find everything there. And then depending on how those colors come out, I have these new chrome markers that I got from Let's Resin. And I'm either going to use the gold or this, I don't know, is it a copper color? So I'll use one of these two around the edge, maybe. I don't even know if I'm gonna use that. Maybe just the top edge, because I wanna see the crystals shining. So once that gets heated up, I'm gonna go ahead and mix my white and drop my colors. Now, I have learned from Daniel Cooper that a thin layer on the bottom makes the best blooms, and I have done it twice now and they come out absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to do the thinnest layer as possible. I know I will probably have some extra resin, which is fine. So that's my plan for this one. My resin is reaching, it was just 33 a minute ago. Yeah, 33, 32, 33. Yeah, that's where I want it. So we're gonna dump that. Now I do wanna tell you, I just got this leveling tray from Let's Resin, and because I'm putting such a thin layer, I don't want anything unlevel. So this is a great option if you don't have a level surface to work with. This tray is super easy to level. It will be linked below if you're interested in getting something like that. Now I'm just going to get a thin layer, like I said, just enough to cover the bottom. Then the rest I will use for my white. First I'm going to drop my alcohol inks so those can start spreading just a little bit more. This was such a great mistake that he had made when he was doing his video by accident. I'm just going to quick get these bubbles out with this super tiny torch. The alcohol ink as well will help get your bubbles out. So I'm going to start in the center here for the brown. And then I'm going to go to the yellow. Let me zoom in for you. Better? Let me move this. There we go. Yellow around. Now I'm not going to swirl these colors together. Sometimes I do, but I don't want to do that today. Make sure you shake your alcohol inks before you use them. And then once these are dropped, I will stir in the white. All right, so we don't need these. Now, every white is different, and I know people like to count drops. The problem I have with counting drops is when you're watching me do something like that, you have no idea the size of drop that I'm using. So instead of going by drops, I put it on the edge of my stick now because my drops would never be even. So I just kind of drip it at the end of my stick so you don't get a trail in your resin. And then just look at the opacity of it. If it's transparent like it is right now, you're going to get a much fainter flower, much daintier, and probably a little bit wispier. So the more white that you put in, the heavier it will be as far as what it looks like and the way the petals come out. So I just kind of basically put whatever it takes in just to be right over the transparent line, if you will. So you can still see it's kind of transparent. So I like it just a little bit more dark, but I don't want it too dark because you don't want the white to sink. Now, I've never had it sink on this fast cure resin because this resin is very thick. So I've never had that problem before. It doesn't blob, but I mean, if you probably put enough white in, it might do that. So this is still just a little bit too transparent for my tastes. So like I said, I can't really say drops because I don't know the size of drops that you're using or that comes out of your bottle. Like my Cast and Craft white has a really big opening. So those drops are much larger than the drops coming out of this bottle. And then if I use like my pigment paste out of the jar, there's no drops. You just have to kind of dip it in until you're happy. And I'm still not happy with this one. And it also depends on how much clear resin you're working with. So I just use the rest of the resin that I have from pouring, so I don't really measure the rest of it. That looks about good. So I don't know if you could tell. So it's not transparent, but it's not super opaque either. It's kind of right on the verge of opaque. I'm just going to get a bag out. Going to get my little piping bag and I'm going to fill the bag. I'm going to pop some bubbles. And then we're going to get our petals. You could put your bag in a cup. I don't. I'm just used to pouring it in because most of you know I am a cake decorator and I use piping bags all the time. So I don't really worry about putting them in cups anymore. So that's just me. So if you are new to that, I definitely recommend putting the bag inside of a cup, pouring your white in that way. You're just going to get it all squished down to the bottom. And then you're just going to twist it. Now you can cut this off like if my husband's doing it. He likes to cut that off. It bothers him. I just kind of curl it up. Stick it in my hand like this so you're not in your way. So you're just going to cut the little tip of this off. You're just going to kind of cut like that, but I don't want to do it over my bloom, so I'm just going to do it over to the side here. You don't want it too thin, but you also don't want it too thick. I know that sounds crazy. So you could just take a little napkin and kind of see how big your stream is. So this one is probably thicker than I wanted, but I'm going to go with it because I've already cut the bag. So you could do whatever design you want if you want to make petals, circles, or just kind of squish it around. Today, I'm going to do a little bit different, and I'm going to draw some petals on this time. So I'm just going to kind of do it this way. I don't know if I've ever done it this way, but that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to do a couple of layers. And then a third layer. And like I said, you will have leftover white, so just make something small out of it. I make extra magnets or bookmarks or whatever you want to make out of it. So I'm going to bubbles out. I'm going to take my silicone stick and I'm just going to kind of move anything that looks blobby. I don't always put something in the middle of my flowers, but I am going to stir that in just a few minutes. I've got my heat gun here. I'm just going to warm it up and start the movement starting. So I'm going to let it thicken up for a few minutes. I'm going to come back and swirl this center so it kind of sticks where it goes. See, as you can see, it's starting to bloom already. It's a little bit better view for you. As you can see, it's been about 10 minutes and it's blooming really nicely. So I'm just going to take my silicone tool and I'm just going to swirl the center and kind of lift out. Now I'm just going to sit and let it cure. I'm just mixing up 2 more ounces of clear to pour over the bloom, but I'm going to take the bubbles out. Now I used my pump resin for this one. It was 3 pumps per ounce. So it was 3 pumps for A and 3 pumps for B. And I did measure it again to make sure it was accurate, and it was. So then I just stuck it in my little cup. I'm going to get the bubbles out so it doesn't go in there. And then we're going to just pour that on here. And then once it's demolded, I'll decide if I want a back coat or not. But the bloom didn't change much. There's a little bit of dust in there that got in there when I wasn't looking. But that should be covered up with the clear resin. So as soon as this bubble remover is done, I will get this poured in. Okay, it's out of the bubble machine and I just sprayed the top with alcohol because some of the surface bubbles are still there. So I'm just going to pour this slowly and kind of high. So if there is any left, they will pop on their own. And like I said, once this cures, I'll flip it over and take it out and decide if I want a back coat on it. I probably will, but I'm not going to just automatically do black anymore because it has burned me in the past, especially with the red. I'm thinking about doing a glitter or maybe a green glitter to kind of mimic some leaves, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know until I take it out of the mold. I don't mind doing back coats. They're pretty simple, so I don't need to do it before it comes out of the mold because I don't want to be disappointed I did the wrong thing. So I'm just gonna go over that. And this is a 24-hour cure. I may pop it into the curing machine in a little while once it's not so fluid. I've got it out of the curing machine. It's still warm. So I will show you what I did with the leftover white. So I took some blue Cassin Craft. I will grab the bottle for you. This one. And I just dripped it straight from the bottle right into the white resin. And I just kind of took my little stick and I just swirled it barely. And then I poured it right into the mold. And then you will get this little marble effect. So I will make some magnets out of these, and these will be giveaways. So that's how I did that. Let's see what we're working with here. Hopefully we're working with something nice, and I can finish this one off. All right. Oh, I'm happy with that. That looks pretty good. Let me grab a piece of black paper. Just put that back there. What do you think? I think that looks pretty good. I've never done the petals like that before. So sometimes what I do, if I want to add glitter to the top, and you'll have to top coat, but I take UV resin and I'll add glitter, and then I'll UV resin a little center, and then I'll coat it over. But look at the edge. The edges are gorgeous out of this new mold that I have. So I'm wondering, what do I back coat it with? Let me figure that out and mix up some resin, and we'll get started on that. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to take some of this green and some of this brownish, goldish, reddish, and combine them together to do the back coat. Now we've got these cute little stands now to hold my stuff up. So I'm using the pump resin. I did 1 pump of each A and B into this little cup. And I'm just going to mix in some glitter of each one and see how this looks as the back coat. I don't know. Hopefully it'll look good. A little bit of both colors that go with the theme, chunky and fine. I always like when they are combined to give it a little bit of dimension. Maybe a little more brown. Let's try that and see how this cures. I need to get colors of cardstock in all the colors so I can tell before I actually pour. I only have the cardstock in black and white. So I'm gonna have to go my next trip to the store, which is I think tomorrow actually, and see if I can get some cardstock in all colors. Now you could put like an alcohol ink in here too, but I don't want it, I didn't want it too dark. I kind of like the transparency so it's not completely overpowering green or brown. And I'm just pulling it to the edge, letting the surface tension grab it. Needs a little bit more. Looks like that's the perfect amount for this coaster size, 1 pump of each resin. That's about 20 milliliters. Each pump is I think 10 milliliters. That's what it's calibrated for, 10 mLs per pump. And somebody said that their pumps weren't accurate on their brand resin, but this Let's Resin, mine have been accurate every time that I've pumped it out. I'm still trying to trust it, and I still check it, but it's the same bottles that I just opened, so I don't see how they can change any. Perfect. Hopefully this will look like I think it'll look. I don't know, we'll find out. Time for the moment of truth. It is ready. It came out pretty. Oh, good. I think that came out pretty good. It's not overpowering, and it goes nicely with that yellow and red. Oh, nice. Well, there you have it, folks. Today's bloom. I hope I've inspired you to do something new. Take a chance and try it. And I will see you all tomorrow. You have a blessed day. Bye-bye.